Hi everyone, Giant Size here, otherwise known as Chris, and we're back into the Minecraft Design Challenge. Now, in our first episode, we looked at statues that we built on stream with input from viewers and trying to come up with themes. And this time we're looking at something a little bit different. So this time we're looking at small bridges, okay? So small bridges, our idea was sometimes you just need a little bridge. Sometimes you just need something to get across a small ravine, add a little bit of character to your path that just spices it up a little bit, right? So we went with a few different themes, and we have some bridges today, and let's get into them, and you'll see what you think. All right. So our first one here, the theme that was given by the viewer was Fairy Kingdom. They wanted pink glass, and they wanted some vines, and kind of they recommended as we went through stone. So we have this, fairly simple, but we think pretty bridge. Now down underneath, we've done a little bit of landscaping, not much, just a little bit of flowers. You could picture this as just in the middle of nowhere in a fairy kingdom. You could customize these banners a little bit more, right? And we thought the pink terracotta here on the top really added a little bit of texture, right? So this is nothing too crazy, but it's cute. It's pretty, and I think when the sun hits the light through the pink glass, it works well. The viewer was pretty happy with it. They liked the lanterns. They liked the pink bridge because when you're walking through it, you get a lot of that pink light. You can see down beneath. We figured a white kind of path worked well for winding through this magical kingdom. All right, let's talk about this one. So we've got some big trees here. So the idea with this one was an extremely simple bridge that's a little perilous, and it's really just we put a few variations of it in here, a few different styles. So let's go in and take a look at it. So this is like almost like a suspension bridge, like you'd see in a small path, like a little rope bridge, right? So it's very small, very narrow. Now these strings are literally just string put up. So the issue with that is you can walk right through them. Now, that just makes this a little bit more perilous. This is how you would put up like a tripwire or something, but we haven't added the actual tripwire hooks. You could add the tripwire hooks and get them to do a bit of a dip, but then every time you touch them, it's going to make the tripwire noise. So questionable. Now we have the same bridge down here just to show what it could be like in the middle of a cavern. We are trying to travel kind of if you're tunneling and you come out into a big opening and you just want a little bridge to go across, right? They're just pretty. And all we have underneath is some fence gates that are closed to provide a little bit of that look of stability and scaffolding, but without actually bulking out too much. So they're nice and thin, right? Just a nice one little thin piece. I really like these trapdoors because you can see through them, and it makes it that much more perilous. Now up top here, we have our jungle trees, and I think these bridges work really well as kind of like a jungle scaffolding kind of thing. The music's intense right now. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit in case it's too loud for you guys. Alright, so I've got string on the one side, the tree side, because where would you anchor it on this side without adding a bunch of scaffolding? But same thing, same design. And then what I've done is used the same trapdoors and then the occasional slab to get the height to work, to create a winding kind of little staircase up the tree to the top. And I just added a railing in. You don't have to, but you can do you, right? So this works really well in a jungle build for catwalks that are precarious, sturdy, but don't require a ton of scaffolding. I really like it. I think it's simple, but it's good. Continuing on with the simple bridges, we wanted a variation on the last one with the strings, so that was similar, but sturdier, more well-maintained, and not the wood style, right? So if stone is needed, so this bridge is extremely simple to build, extremely fast to build, but it looks really good, I think. It's very easy. It's only one wide. You can't fall off of it. I mean, unless you do that, but... Right? Like, it catches you, the chains. So all it is slabs. Just a row of slabs, regular block on the ends, and some fence posts. Or not fence posts, walls. With slabs underneath for support. That's it. And chains. Now, I added a little signpost here because I wanted something very thin, something that doesn't get in the way. And so I just stacked some signs on each other and made a little rickety little signpost, right? Now, you notice that when you look at the bottom of them, if you're too close or you're moving, they kind of glitch a little bit. If you stop moving, right, they're fine. But that's the price you pay a little bit. And then we just did a small little path over a little waterway that with the water logged underneath the slabs. So there's still water flowing. It still looks good, but you have a slab path. And I went with the mossy cobblestone just to give it a little bit. These are the very simple ones, right? All right, let's talk about this one. So the theme that was given for this one was a haunted or decrepit area that has fallen into disarray and is no longer being upkept and is really starting to fall apart, right? So we can picture this bridge that's got pieces now breaking off of it, right? Like it's got everything's mossy or cracked. We've got some different textures in here. I really like using the cobwebs for that kind of effect. And if you're in survival, for whoever is with you, right, it's also giving a bit of a threat, because if they fall into here and they can't get out, they're going to fall all the way through. Now, you'll notice this sound. Very quietly. That's the sea pickles. So these are sea pickles. They are great. They're like the new candles that are going to be coming out in the Caves update. You can stack them either 1 to 4. So these are mostly 2 and 3s, right? 3s. And we've used them just to give a little bit of that kind of almost mold and weird kind of plant life that's growing. I've also used dead coral to create some bushes. Wither roses to get a bit of an effect. We went with regular torches instead of lanterns because we didn't want a fancier look. And we've just tried to keep it random, including the path and the... I forget, it starts with a P, this kind of brownish grass texture, right? We tried to create a kind of a dying tree, and which was a challenge. We didn't want a really thick wood base because it would seem too hardy and too normal. So we went with this instead. I don't know if I love it, but it's decent. And I really like the sea pickles. So underneath, we've just added some more texture, added some vines, right? Just to give it a bit of that feel of disrepair and loss and kind of not knowing what's happening, right? Not knowing where find this. So I think this build, like if you had a whole area that was kind of centered, designed around this style, this kind of build would look really good. Really good. All right, let's move on to our Winter Wonderland build. Somebody, we're in December, and one of the viewers wanted a candy cane bridge, which we ran with. We thought it was really fun. So we have the candy canes. They're of different heights. We have very simple kind of bridge structure with the snow. We have the path covered in snow. It's very simple, very pretty. We ended up putting up, so these are those strings, right? Notice how these ones click because we have the tripwire. Now, this was before we realized we could just hang strings. So you could come back and just take away the tripwire and just hang the string. But whatever works for you. And we added these end rods on the bottom to look kind of like icicle lights or decoration, right? And they have a neat little particle effect, so they add a little bit, and they glow. Now, of course, down below we have more icicle lights and icicles in general. I think they're pretty. We didn't go too much down here. Now, I think one of the biggest standouts for this, obviously the candy canes, which is just a concrete powder and then the smooth quartz slabs with a little bit of snow on them. I really like these Christmas trees, how they turned out. We wanted some trees that were decorated. We couldn't put any decorations, so these are our blocks, our buttons, and redstone torches, and a lantern. We couldn't put these on leaves, right? So we had to get creative. We went with a green terracotta that already has this white texture in it, and it almost looks like snowy trees or a Christmas tree with white garland in it. I think they worked really well. We kept the same shape for both of them. We added a variation of buttons and torches and just kind of some decorations. We tried hanging picture frames with little player heads in them as like an example of a picture of someone, but it just looked kind of weird. I think they're cute, and I think you could do that on a big scale and they would look just as good. Okay, last one, but not least, we wanted to try to build in this small scale a traditional Japanese architecture kind of build. And this was a challenge. On this small of a scale, it's really hard to get the flow and the curvature, right? So you think of the buildings that we get and the kind of the roof lines and that kind of thing when we think of that. And so what we did was we worked with what we had for space. We did a little bit of a varied with two-tone fence pattern here, kind of a cross or checkerboard pattern to try to create a little bit of texture in this. Went with a nice bright terracotta, and we're very careful to put this down so that it lined up, right? The nice stone bricks. We have the lanterns. I think it turned out pretty good. We went with a different grass type to complement the colors, and you can see we changed the dirt to this block. Forgot about the one underneath. And we don't change these walls because these are parts of corners or edges of other builds sometimes, so we just leave those alone. And then we tried to build a cherry blossom tree. Now, we messed around with this cherry blossom tree for, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, trying to get it to work. We were trying to use chorus plants, and that just doesn't work. They're just breaking. So we ended up going with just the dark oak, I think it was, wood. Yeah, dark oak wood with a little bit of curve to it. Built kind of a tree frame, and then the pink terracotta because it had a bit of a leafy texture for the cherry blossoms. It was about the closest we could get. And I think it looks pretty good. Right? Like, it's not bad. It's a different style of tree. You know? Yeah. So I think it turned out pretty good. And this is a cute little bridge. When you're walking through it and you're using it, right? It's pretty. It shows up well with the textures and the colors. It's got a lot going on, but you can still see through it. It's got some style. The lanterns are nice. It looks good at night. And just to show you what kind of all the bridges look like at night, let's do that really quick. Time, set, night. Alright, so you can see some of them are very lit up. Some are less lit up, which was by design, just the one little lantern. Right, this one's kind of only got the 4 original torches. This one has nothing. This one's just, you could add whatever you want to this one, but doesn't need it, right? And this one's got the torches, or the lanterns. Yeah, I think they turned out really good. So those are our 6 bridge types. And they took quite a while to build, more than showing you. But we had a lot of fun with them. And we really enjoyed playing around with the variations and the themes and the ideas and things. So I hope you enjoyed them as much as we did. And if you ever want to be involved with building these and participating, hanging out in the chat, giving ideas and thoughts and giving build paths and tool recommendations and block recommendations and input. I try to ask when I'm building them on stream. We ask for as much viewer input as possible, and really I really focus on that. And you know, this one and this one and this one were all suggested by viewers, and then I suggested this style, and then they chose the pink cherry blossom tree, and they chose the dirt type, and all that kind of stuff. So, and then these two were built off stream just as an exploration. But we did some other things. We've done lots of fun things, and I think if you want to come by and check us out, I usually stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, and you can see my full schedule on Twitch, Giant Size Gaming. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for tuning in. Take care and have a great one. See you in the next video.